Tyreek Hill has been traded to the Dolphins. Now, for those wondering, well, what happened? Contract issues. And Aaron, I don't want to get. I think this is a rabbit hole for another day, probably tomorrow. There's people wondering, Dak, Mahomes, and Rodgers, what they want.
They want money.
And what do they not have? Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, and Amari Cooper. No, Amari Cooper's obviously the elephant in the room there. But, start, bench, cut, right? But you get what I'm saying there. So, contracts aside, on the field, football-wise, this is huge. I think both teams fleeced each other. I think both teams won the trade here.
Now, I know a lot of people say
the 5 picks are right. The 5 picks are obviously that's a lot. But then you look at who the crap it is. This is not to me. This is better than a possession receiver. This is a guy who every single time Andy Reid needed one guy should get that first down, no matter what the play looked like. It's Tyreek Hill, because he literally, and I don't know what it is about a football uniform. He looks like he's running naked. He's so electric. No other I've never seen a player like this in my life. Even Devin Hester, when he owned kick returns, never looked this ability boom right by anybody. It's not even close. They can't catch him. So the fact that you got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, that to me is better than McCall Hardman and Tyreek Hill.
Absolutely. The Penguin and the Cheetah are in Miami there.
Oh, so, Penguin, that's right. Holy cow.
So for me, this trade makes sense for both teams. Kansas City could not get the deal done with Tyreek Hill. For whatever reason, it just seemed like, Tyreek was dead set on being the highest paid wide receiver. And not to say that that's not warranted from the wide receiver, aspect. My feelings on paying wide receivers to begin with. But I'm saying from the actual aspect of wide receivers, I think that it's now the highest contract. Getting back those 5 picks, to me, that's the fleece. I mean, you see Amari Cooper went for a 5th. You see things like this. Devontae Adams went for a 1st and a 2nd.
Right.
And Tyreek Hill went for 5 picks. Now, I don't know if this is just Mike McDaniels and the new team in Miami just saying, "Hey, look, I can make this guy incredible, and it's worth whatever you need to get him." Now, I know the Jets had a deal on the table. Allegedly, it does not include a 1st-round pick. I would have thought a 1st and a 2nd would have got the deal done, just like Devontae Adams. But again, we're going to look at these, picks. Okay, so the 4th-round pick and the 4th and the 6th next year, those were essentially the throw-ins that were needed to get over the hump with Tyreek Hill, because he was basically traded. I'm going to say a 1st and 2 seconds were the big, a 1st and a 2nd. Excuse me.
That was the bait.
Was the big bait? Yes, absolutely. And the fact that the Jets allegedly didn't offer a 1st-round pick, I'm not sure if Kansas City just called up and maybe lied about New York. Because why, if those were only 2 offers? Because of what I understand, the Jets offered 2 seconds and a 3rd. You're going to give me the 1st and the 5th, the 29th and the 50th pick. That probably would have been enough for me. But yes, I think Kansas City, in terms of getting stockpiled draft picks, actually fleeced. Now, here's the question though: how do the Kansas City Chiefs react to losing this guy? Because let's face it, Juju Smith-Schuster is not Tyreek Hill. Mecole Hardman, while he has the speed right now, is not Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce is getting older. And yes, we talked about this even last year.
Is going to be a bigger part, I'm sure.
That's fine, but none of those guys even hold Tyreek Hill's jock at this point.
That's fair. So my thing with that is I was like, Andy Reid's got to be pissed. Like, God, we couldn't get a deal done at all. Like, his mustache has to be falling off right now.
He kind of had to know these things were happening when Patrick Mahomes signs a $50 million a year deal.
That's his toy. Like, you think Mahomes I think Tyreek Hill is more of a toy than Patrick Mahomes is.
So here's a hot take question I want to ask you. Are the Kansas City Chiefs the worst team in the AFC West?
No.
Just simply because of Patrick Mahomes?
Well, Andy Reid's genius has got to count for something. We don't know how the Broncos are going to look. I mean, Russell Wilson, you can plug and play him all you want to. He hasn't seen a Super Bowl in years. Without a Legion of Boom defense, which not a knock, but I'm just saying it's true.
Denver's decent on defense.
Yes, but they're not Legion of Boom yet.
No, that's fair.
But
But he's got good weapons, better weapons than he
I
had
think
last year.
Chargers are the best, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Hint, hint. But I they're better than the Raiders. Come on,
I
we
mean,
don't
I don't know.
know.
It's a legit
That's the
question.
new head
Like, this is
coach.
so, like, there's somebody has to finish fourth in this league.
Isn't that sad?
It's crazy.
It's
Somebody has to finish
unfair.
in fourth in this league.
Not everyone
And
can
it,
have the NFC East, well, the AFC East and the NFC South, right?
yeah, you can't put one of these. You can't just like let these guys go relegate to one of those for a year. But look at it. I mean, no Tyrann Matthew on the defense, the
Yeah, but
quarterback
the
of the
Colts need
defense.
him bad. I just want to plug that in there.
It wouldn't shock me. Now, I understand they're maybe not the worst team, but it would not shock me. This team looked human last year. How many games did
Well, yeah.
how many dogfights were they in
Until they
last year?
flipped the switch. I mean, what week do you
Not
want to start this
always.
conversation at?
Not all. Yeah, I mean they did flip a switch and win football games, but I'm
Bengals
saying
did sweep them too.
the Bengals swept them. Yeah, absolutely. The Chargers beat them in one game. Again, I know that it was a fluky fourth
Big
down
nuts
call and
that game.
everything, but I mean, even look at the games. Look at the games they lost. They got crushed by the Bills, got crushed by the Titans. They lost to the Ravens in that crazy Sunday night game in the beginning. But like, look at the wins. No Aaron Rodgers, 13-7. You know, the Broncos game on Sunday night that they ended up winning 22-9, but they were in a fight there with Teddy Two Gloves.
Even in week 18, they were in a fight with the Broncos.
Week 18 with the Broncos, they were in a fight. I mean, the only real big wins, they crushed the Raiders twice, and the game against the Steelers that they destroyed. But everything else, they were in a dogfight. I mean, that game against the Chargers on Thursday night was a back and forth game. Like,
yeah,
these might not be happening as well as they did last year or even 2 years ago. Like when you said they were winning games, absolutely. I mean, winning games is paramount to the success in football.
but is it sexy, Urban Meyer?
I mean, they weren't winning as sexy as they wanted to, as sexy as we expected them. They weren't covering spreads. That was a big thing. They didn't cover like a season's worth of spreads in a row.
Don't remind me.
So I'm just wondering. I'm not saying that's not my opinion, but it's a legitimate question. Like, is Kansas City the worst team in the AFC West? I don't know. Until the Chargers prove it to me, I don't trust them. But I think the Denver Broncos have I'm high on Russ, so I think the Denver Broncos have a really good team around them that can make the
Mile High Russ.
Mile High Russ. Yeah, I'm absolutely, yes. The Raiders situation, I'm curious. They do have the offensive weapons and Derek Carr here, but somebody's got to be in fourth, and it wouldn't shock me.
Well,
it would shock me a little.
Dolphins. We can go AFC West tomorrow. What about Dolphins side of this, real quick?
Okay, so the Dolphins side, I think they're getting an absolute stud at playmaker. The only real question is can Tyreek Hill go deep? Because can Tua Tagovailoa get him the ball?
What? Yes, he can. What is the one game in college everyone's going to remember? Where he goes deep. Who was that too? Was that Devontae Smith, actually, in the Georgia game?
Ball's bigger.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett should know that too. So does Teddy Two Gloves.
Hey-yo, absolutely. Like, like Tyreek Hill, you have two guys that kind of almost do the same thing. So I feel like if you're in the market for a tight end come fantasy season, Mike Gesicki might get a lot of looks having Waddle and Hill kind of open up the